Michael Avenatti. Good to have you, counselor. He's afraid of a perjury trap. Is that a fair fear, or is he afraid of something else?
No, he's afraid of answering questions by somebody that knows how to ask questions. You know, this is a president, Chris, that can barely answer questions when he has Fox News asking the questions, whether it be on Fox and Friends or in the Rose Garden or anything of that nature. How do you think he's going to handle someone like myself or Bob Mueller asking questions? It would be an absolute disaster for him, and he knows it.
A big notion for him that he's selling to the American people is, if they don't believe you, they get you for perjury. Is that how it works?
No, that's not how it works at all. I mean, look, I think there's a treasure trove of topic areas that Bob Mueller could ask this president about, and he would not have very good answers for it. I think that he would fumble around and not be able to answer many of these questions cogently. And I think it'd be the same thing, and I expect it will be the same thing in connection with the deposition that I'm going to take of him. The bottom line here is that this man, Donald Trump, does not want to sit down and have to answer any questions under oath. And if I was in his shoes, I probably wouldn't want to do that either in light of the facts and the evidence.
Now, he's talking about how there's no collusion, no nothing like that. That takes us in a segue to what we saw with Papadopoulos today. He lied about a meeting. You could argue that is evidence of collusion, or at least an intent to try to collude. But that's not what the president thinks that should be investigated for reasons of potential treason and national security, not Russian interference. Who wrote the op-ed? That's what he wants Jeff Sessions to go after, full ammo. What do you make of that?
He's not interested in addressing, frankly. He's more interested in carrying out personal vendettas, finding out who's leaking information, and going after people that are trying to do the right thing by this country and tell the truth. And his priorities are in all of the wrong places. And ultimately, if he survives until 2020, I think that the American people are going to send him a message that he had his priorities screwed up from day one.
Some irony there, huh? That the op-ed matters because there's potential national security exposure, and there could be an issue of treason. Yet he does not see those aspects in the Russia investigation.
It's ridiculous, Chris, as to why the president would not want to get to the bottom of the Russian collusion situation unless he knows he's guilty. He spends so much time and energy on all of these ridiculous other sideshows like this op-ed piece, attendance at his inauguration, things that are just childish, immature, and that nobody cares about. And then the real issues that matter, namely having Russia interfere with our electoral process, which is fundamental to this democracy. He wants everyone to turn a blind eye to it.
I think that you see a combination of personality here, which is someone who's prone to favoring the me over the we, which puts him in a tough spot as a president and a leader, but also an exaggeration of something that is often true. Perception is reality. He's so concerned about the perception of the probe that it comes second to the reality of the probe. Now, you see hypocrisy not just on the right side of the ball, but the left as well. You had an interesting takeaway about Democratic senators during the Kavanaugh confirmation. What got to you?
Well, look, I have a lot of respect for the Democratic committee members on the panel. Let me just say that from the onset. But, you know, you're talking to a guy that tries cases before a jury, and I've learned some lessons along the way, Chris. And one of those lessons is that you don't get over the tips of your skis. You don't overpromise and underdeliver.
Who did that?
And if you're going to engage, well, I don't know that anybody did it because the die has not been cast yet. It's not over. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to have a bunch of buildup on questioning and cross-examine Judge Kavanaugh and suggest that you've got evidence that undercuts his testimony, you got to deliver that. Because if you don't deliver it, your credibility is shot, at least in the eyes of a jury. And I think as it relates to this hearing, the American public is basically one big jury. And so I think that's potentially an issue.
Well, Senator Harris,
as well as,
Senator Harris had her prosecutor's hat on and did elicit an odd answer from Kavanaugh about whether he could remember who he spoke to or not at the Kasowitz firm. But you say, if you're going to ask him about it, you should have the answer because you seem to be suggesting one.
Well, you got to deliver the ultimate evidence. Otherwise, everybody looks around and says, you know, where's the beef? What happened? And you lose credibility. And you know, look, and the other thing I'll say is this. I'm all for theatrics. You know, nobody likes theatrics or drama more than I do. But if you're going to walk the walk or talk the talk, you got to walk the walk, and you got to deliver in connection with that. And you can't find yourself in a spot where you lose credibility because it looks like you were putting on a dog and pony show.
Avenatti, let me ask you something.
And I'm not, and I want to be clear about,
Yes.
I want to be clear about something. We don't know that that happened yet because
Right.
it's not over.
It's not
and
over.
I hope that she has the evidence, and I hope that, for instance, as it relates to Senator Booker, that it is shown that those documents really were confidential when he had the, I am Spartacus moment.
He says,
I hope that that's true.
when he went Kirk Douglas, he said, I read them before they cleared them. Good enough?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm not going to comment as to whether I think it's good enough. I think the American people are ultimately going to make their own decision. But look, this is a big stage. I think that they both knew it at the time they made their comments. They're fighting the good fight on behalf of the Democrats that are in the minority on the committee. But, again, I learned a long time ago as a trial lawyer, you got to be really careful. You can't get over the tips of your skis or you're going to get hurt.
Avenatti, I want to ask you a question that I feel that I'm going to chase you about from time to time over the next year or so. Are you developing a keen interest in politics because you are looking to get into politics yourself?
Well, I've had an interest in politics for a long time, Chris. I worked on over 150 campaigns in 42 states, some of the biggest races in this nation for 6 or 7 years back in the 90s when I was a much younger man, and I kind of put that behind me. But as a result of this case, a lot of people have come to know me or know about my background, and they've asked me to enter the fray or to consider it.
You were in Iowa not too long ago, were you not?
I was. I've been in Iowa twice, Ohio twice, Florida, New York, Nevada.
Were those all
South
cases?
Carolina in a couple of weeks. No, they're not cases. I mean, I think I've been pretty clear that I'm exploring a run. This is a very unusual time in our nation, Chris, and we got a lot at stake in this republic. I would submit it's the future of the republic. And I think, unlike others, I think the Democrats need to fight.
I just got a piece of information in my ear that I'm not sure you're going to believe, but we are reporting it right now, and it seems to be accurate. Essential Consulting, you know that company. It was set up by Michael Cohen. It was the vehicle for the Stormy Daniels deal. You know all this. This is your case. We are reporting that Michael Cohen is asking to break that deal up and get his money back. What is your reaction to this news that's just crossing the wire?
Well, I saw it just moments ago before I came on.
And you didn't tell me?
I haven't had an opportunity.
You're talking about Iowa? You're
Well,
not telling me about this that's central to your case?
Well, no, I haven't had a chance to digest it. I just saw it on my email literally before I came on.
What do you
Chris.
make of it?
Look, I haven't had an opportunity to digest it, but here's what I'll say. I find this very curious because Michael Cohen and his surrogates and Donald Trump have been telling America for 6 months that this deal was legit and that they were going to sue my client. You may recall that for $1 million every time she uttered anything about this. I think what they're trying to do, Chris, it's pretty transparent, at least at first blush to me. What they're trying to do is they don't want me to get a chance to depose Michael Cohen and Donald Trump. And this is a Hail Mary to try to avoid that. That's
What's the chance Cohen gets his money back?
Well, I mean, ultimately, if the agreement is rescinded, then the chance is 100%. He gets his $130,000 back. There's no question. You may or may not recall that we offered to do that very early on in the case, and they refused. I mean, they told us to go pound sand, which I think will go down as one of the worst litigation decisions in modern history by Michael Cohen and Donald Trump. This decision to basically turn down our offer some 6 months ago. Yeah.